Hi, I'm Nick Bryant,
And I'm Joe Calabrese.
and we're here to discuss with you the various superpowers of superheroes.
Now, superpowers range from incredibly destructive to non-lethal, wildly useful to why is that even a superpower?
Let's start with the very basic superpowers, such as flight, invisibility, and super strength. Now, almost the main superheroes in the Marvel comics and the DC comics and various other comics have these three basic superpowers. Also, super speed is one of those basic superpowers. Let's start with flight, shall we?
Now, flying around may seem like fun, but you have to take in consideration hitting birds, hitting buildings, hitting trees. There's a lot of stuff you can hit up in the air, and if you fall from the air, it's going to be a very painful drop.
Though flight can be useful, flying around actually increases your speed because of the depth and velocity, but I digress with this science experiment, that flight goes about maybe the more popular superheroes, such as Superman or Captain Marvel.
But remember, Superman and Captain Marvel are also pretty invulnerable, so they don't have to really worry about all that falling and crashing into stuff.
Now, most superheroes who have super flight also have another superpower with them. Let's discuss super strength, shall we?
Now, super strength may seem like a good idea when you're taking on someone who's 10 times bigger than you, but it can lead to nuisances when every time you try and open up a door, it flies off its hinges and into the wall.
Now, I do have a question to all comic book makers. When you look at the Hulk and the Thing, and they have super strength, and you can obviously tell, and they go up against somebody like, say, Spider-Man, who has some sort of super strength, what's the difference between those super strengths? Is one stronger than the other, or does one look like a giant monster that's going to kill you, but he's really going to save your life because he has anger management issues?
Just remember, with super strength, you gotta make sure the public knows you're a good guy, or they'll be really, really afraid and shit their pants.
So if I saw the Incredible Hulk walking around saying, smash, whatever the hell he says, I'm not that much of a Marvel fan, would you want him at your side, or would you just run away? I would run away.
Now, strength isn't the only offensive power. Some superheroes shoot laser beams from their eyes or their hands or whatever they shoot it out of.
This superpower is very unique to a bunch of superheroes, such as, Superman, who can shoot lasers out of his eyes, or even Iron Man, who doesn't necessarily have a superpower, but this superpower is embedded in his suit, so he can shoot lasers out of his chest and out of his hands.
Just remember though, while shooting lasers from your eyes or your hands may seem like really fun, you gotta remember that laser is an acronym that stands for light amplification through stimulated emissions of radiation. Be careful, you're leaving radiation everywhere.
Now, another basic superpower is super speed, such as the Flash, or again, Superman.
Just a quick diversion. The Flash is faster than Superman.
Yes.
Superman can't break through dimensional barriers like the Flash can. I digress.
Let me ask yourself, though, with the Flash, that might be his only superpower. What does he do? What's the point of having super speed? Well, let me tell you. Super speed does not necessarily mean you can only use your speed with your feet. You can also use your speed with your arms, as in super fast punches, and to tell you the truth, I would rather have one big punch than multiple small punches that just can kind of get a little annoying in the face.
Although, being able to move so fast that you can vibrate your molecules through walls does sound fun. But having a sped up digestive system that makes you hungry and also want to go to the bathroom every 5 minutes doesn't sound fun.
Also, super speed can intertwine with the flight mechanism that we talked about earlier. Superman, again, has super speed, but usually you don't see him running around just like the Flash can. he embeds the super speed with his flight.
Now, it's important to recognize that not all superheroes have superpowers. Batman is a master detective with a bunch of gadgets. Iron Man has a super suit, but he's just a regular guy.
It's weird how in our society we actually honor those superheroes more than the others. For instance, the new Iron Man movie. A lot of people are becoming more popularized with the Iron Man movie because of the suit. It looks cool. They use guns. Batman: The Dark Knight was an even more popular movie and probably was the most popular superhero movie out there. Now, it's not just heroes that this effect goes into. Most villains actually do not have the superpowers, such as the Joker or the Riddler.
Or the Mad Hatter, who, inspired by Alice in Wonderland, has an assortment of hats that all create hypnosis via technological means. I don't really understand it, but he does.
Now I want to talk about the last general superpower, and that is invisibility. Invisibility is more, in my opinion, kind of the weaker of the superpowers. Once you become invisible, you become invisible. Such as Wonder Woman, who does not really become invisible, but her ship turns invisible. You have the Invisible Woman from the Fantastic Four, who it doesn't really make that much sense to me how she can create these shields and barriers by becoming invisible, because in my opinion, once you become invisible, no one can see you. How can you all of a sudden have these cosmic beams come out of your hands? But I digress.
Now, sure, being invisible means that the bad guys don't see you, but as soon as you attack them, they're gonna know you're there. And it's just, these days, not a cool power. And that's why it's often coupled up with that strange force field type thing that's Invisible Girl from Credibles or Mrs. Fantastic from Fantastic Four have, which I still don't really understand.
And one more point with invisibility. If you have to wear your clothes, you're not invisible. You're walking around like a shirt and pants and shoes, and quite frankly, you look like an idiot.
100% kinda creepy.
Now let's go into the more specific superpowers. For instance, Booster Gold, which is Joe's favorite, has many different kinds of superpowers. Joe?
Booster, via stolen technology from the future, it's okay, it was in the future, it's not a crime yet, can shoot laser beams, create force fields, fly around. He can even alter the makeup of a structure and make it melt and bend, though he doesn't really do that often these days. Too much for his brain.
Now, Spider-Man, which is a very popular superhero out there, can do many things that no other superhero can, except for, of course, Spider-Man's villains. Spider-Man, let me clarify this right now, Spider-Man cannot shoot webs out of his hands. The movie is a liar. Read the comic books, people. He invented a machine to shoot webs out of his hands. That is not one of his powers. But what is his power is that he can climb walls. He can climb walls, he has strength, and now that I think of it, oh yes, and he has the Spidey sense. Now, in my opinion, if you put those all together, they're not that much if you don't have the webs coming out of your hands.
What you would be left with is a guy who's kind of sitting there up there on the wall dodging bullets and not really doing much. Not a good superhero.
Now, one more is the element of fire goes into a lot of superheroes, such as the Human Torch, who can light himself with fire, use fire in all these aspects, and he is probably the most important superhero using the elements of fire.
Just remember, it's hard to save people from a burning building when you yourself created the burning building.
If you'd like us to talk about more superpowers, please comment on this video about other superpowers we'd like to talk about and the superheroes that are used.
This has been Joe Calabrese
And Nick Bryant.